because they never, like, they always say, oh, his dick's the size of a paper towel roll, and she gave him a blowjob, and nobody ever says, how?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cheap Smut. My name is Katie Mizell.
And my name is Carl Mizell.
And this is a podcast that is so glad to be looking at a snowy window right now. How are you, darling?
I am well. I am also glad to be looking out at the snow. We got a couple of inches over the Thanksgiving holiday. Title of your sex tape. And we spent some time over the Thanksgiving holiday getting the Christmas decorations up. We're slowly rolling those out as well. The children are stoked. We sent them to school with snow pants. So for those of you who in certain parts of the country and the world, snow pants are a thing that you wear.
Yeah.
Like super like 7 pair of pants.
Yep. They're hyper insulated, waterproof, usually down filled or fiber alternative filled, and they keep your legs warm so you don't get wet when you're in a foot of snow.
Yeah. So the kids are really stoked for that. I had a call with one of my fellow coworkers recently, and he was like, "Yeah, we got more snow like in the past like couple days than we got in the last 3 years." And I was like, "Oh, how much did you get?" He's like, "Oh, about 4 inches." Those are rookie numbers.
Oh.
And he's in Missouri.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are rookie numbers, but you got to pump those numbers up.
Seriously. I mean, we've had a couple of lackluster years on the winter front, but a solid Michigan snow. I think the most we've ever gotten in the last decade or so is Snowmageddon, and that was almost 24 inches.
Yeah, snow. That was I was still working at the restaurant because that was the day we closed the restaurant early to come home.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was our first or second winter here. We had there was a February where we got like 18 inches. I don't know if you remember that.
Here in this house?
At this house right here.
Oh, yeah. It must have been our first year here.
Yeah, it was so either 21 or 22.
Mm-hmm.
We got bombed.
I don't remember.
But other than that, it's usually, if you get a good 6 or 7, it's pretty standard. We're not close enough for the lake effect, but we do get some of the residual. Yeah. Hi, welcome to Snow Talk. But that's appropriate. Because this week the mainline episode this week is Snowbound by Maggie Marin, which is your favorite trope, snowed in.
Yes.
And do you have another one similar for us this week?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, let us neither dilly nor dally and get right into it.
All right. Well, this week I read A Court-Ordered Romance by Lark Green, which is part of the Winter Bliss series. I got this as an arc, and it actually comes out on December 2nd, which is the day that it hits the Patreon. So as soon as you hear this, go out and get all 3 books, because this is a 3-book series, all 3 books released on the same day by 3 different authors.
And don't even finish the episode. Go right now.
Seriously, just go. Do it. I'll tell you about the other 2 books while I'm telling you about this book as well, but they're definitely worth it. So the series is co-written by Lark Green, Lucy Limon, and Katrina Bell. A Court-Ordered Romance is by Lark Green. All of the books in the series revolve around the fictional small town of Winter Bliss, which is very Colorado coded or Montana coded or something, not Minnesota coded or something. It's a very idyllic, beautiful, glittering small town like it was ripped out of a Hallmark movie. But this is a world where humans and the supernatural coexist, and Winter Bliss is an enclave of volcano-loving, fire-worshipping, bureaucratic demons. They live at the base of the mountain because under the mountain, there's a volcanic flow.
Okay.
And they worship lava and fire. And when they curse, they say things like "Mother Below" because everything is about below. There's nothing about it is hell coded, but it's all very like lava and brimstone and burning.
Right.
Just there's no religious connotations to it at all. Okay. It's just what demons like. And when they retire, they all sort of dream of retiring at the base of a volcano, the same way that our parents would dream of retiring in like the Florida Keys. They want to get property at the base of a volcano in Hawaii.
Well, that sounds like the antithesis of snow.
It does.
But I'm curious to see how this all works out.
Yeah.
So let's get after it.
Okay. So let's get into a little bit of how the series itself works. So Winter Bliss is released in what I like to think of as seasons, 3 books at a time, and each book or each season is around a like sort of shared event that happens, and then each book focuses on one different couple.
Okay.
So on December 4th, 2023, the 3 books were released under the subtitle Horned Up for the Holidays. Winter Bliss, Horned Up for the Holidays, and they each revolved around 3 different FM couples snowed in during the same avalanche in 3 separate locations.
Okay.
Releasing on December 2nd, 2024 are the 3 books subtitled Merry Mischief, in which all three couples are involved in the same sort of event. We'll just get into this one right now. So our triple T's are triggers for bullying, coming from all fucking directions, my dude. Oh my God. People are mean in this book. Arson, a semi-corrupt small town, themes of mental and emotional dysfunction, and personal trigger for me, the MMC is a dick. Lark made me love him, but he was such a dick. Our tropes are, this is an FM cis-het human and demon romance, small town romance, holiday adjacent romance, Hollywood romance. There is a hot springs scene, and scent glands and arousal smelling. There's an eye roll emoji in my notes because we all know how much I love it. I love it. I love it.
She doesn't even like to smell trouble.
I don't like to smell anything but brownies.
Yep.
And good weed. Like, I don't want to smell. Lady Gaga. Have you seen that clip of Lady Gaga at her most recent show? No. She's like on this big catwalk thing, and she's being rolled down in this cool contraption. She looks like a fucking, ethereal Morrigan goddess, and she's like, oh. And as she's being pushed through the crowd, she just goes, I smell marijuana. And everybody just starts screaming.
I am very proud that I did not have the first digression of this episode. That's pretty much par for the course.
Oh, no, it was me. I did it.
I was going to. I was going to ask, what is the difference? Like, what are the levels of small town corruption that it can be semi-corrupt?
Right.
Because to me, corruption's like circumcision.
It either is or isn't.
Either you are or you ain't.
No, because you can be incompletely circumcised. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you that. An incomplete circumcision is a thing.
Ow.
I know. Sorry.
But anyway.
Back to what we were talking about before my digression.
Tropes.
Arousal smelling. Anyway. That's where we were. That's why I digressed, because I fucking hate it.
Oh, and then you remembered it again.
Oh, God. Okay, so our titillations are slow build, frottage, mutual masturbation, hornplay, sex in nature, handcuff restraints, mild domination, and some role play.
I almost asked what you meant by hornplay, that I forgot we were doing a demon book.
No, he's a trumpeter.
Oh,
he plays the flugelhorn.
Our MMC this week is Chuck Mangione.
He's who's that pink-haired guy who plays the saxophone?
Oh, Leo P.
Leo P.
Yep.
Leo P could get it for playing the sax, I'm sure.
Probably.
Somebody has given it to Leo P for playing the sax like that. So let's begin our story with our small town of Winter Bliss. It is, like I said, winter scenery, gorgeous aesthetics, all year round holiday vibes. They kind of lean into that thing. There's a mountain that's like right behind them, and it's totally gorgeous tourist destination place. There is also a very fantastic and complex history of demons in Winter Bliss. I'm not going to get into any of that, so you can go read all the other books for clues. There are 3 books in the Horned Up for the Holidays season, and there are 3 books in the Merry Mischief season, so you can get plenty of Winter Bliss. What we need to know about demons is that they are red, they have horns, they worship the infernal mother below, and they are all gifted with pyrokinesis.
Oh, handy.
Yes, and they are weirdly capitalist, like weirdly capitalist and bureaucratic. Everything is about a bargain. Everything is about making a deal. Everything is about getting what you need by like trade, basically. They don't like to ask for favors because that means that they owe you, and they are very, very secretive because if you get information, you can blackmail them, which is another form of owing. And so they are incredibly tight-knit and tight-lipped community of people.
That's why I'm so secretive.
Yes. They're also basically like lawyers. You got to be really, really specific when you make a bargain with a demon or you'll end up getting burned. No pun intended. But,
that's come up in other demon books before.
Yeah.
Like the specificity of the language.
Exactly. You have to be really specific. I think that probably does stem from the Christian or Judeo-Christian myth of Satan and him being a liar and you having to be really specific when you talk to him. That kind of thing is probably where that comes from. But there is a long and storied history of tricksters far beyond the Judeo-Christian who have very similar rules. So demons, as a rule, are very, very dedicated to the status quo. They don't like change. They're slow to move. Anything that they do takes like 50 hours of debate. The demon that we'll be focusing on in this week is our MMC, Vale for Embergrave. We just call him Vale. Vale is a Winter Bliss expat. He grew up there. He hated it there. He never fit in there because he was like scrawny and awkward and he had a stutter and his horns are very small. Very small, like you can barely get your hand around one. And that apparently is a source of great shame for him because horn size is a status thing in all demons, regardless of gender. And the fact that he has such tiny horns is an ongoing issue for him internally in the book.
I'm sure that's not an analog for anything.
It's not... Sort of. I don't know. Anyway, he finally started to find a place in the world when he found acting when he was in high school. And as soon as he got the opportunity to leave Winter Bliss, he moved to LA. He got some training, worked his ass off, overcame his stutter, got in with an incredible acting coach named Stella Stargaze, I believe. And he did a couple of passion projects before landing himself in the upcoming role of Castor Duskfire, small town hunk in the blockbuster holiday movie Bedeviled Under the Mistletoe.
I love that there's an entire like it's just like demons and humans on camera, it part of the industry. That's
absolutely.
That's fascinating.
So he got himself a manager and a publicist and an adoring Nymphstagram fan base and a personal trainer. And he has kept the small town very far in his rearview mirror until somebody from the magazine Fae and Famous contacted Aaron about doing a holiday photo spread in his hometown of Winter Bliss because they found out that his hometown is like plucked right out of his movie. And so they want to do a spread and a cover and like a whole interview thing. And as much as he hates this and doesn't want to do it, his manager has him by the balls and has him convinced that this is going to be really, really good for his career. Also, Fae and Famous is like a huge fucking magazine.
Yeah, it's better than DMZ.
Yeah, right? So
it's the Demon TMZ.
It is, exactly.
That joke wasn't very funny.
I thought it was funny,
okay.
But I thought it was funnier if we just scrolled right past it like it was normal.
And I thought it was funnier if I called it out.
Yeah. You always think it's better when you call out your jokes so everybody knows that you're funny.
Only when they're bad.
That's true. That's true. He'll never go back and be like, that one was funny. He'll only go back and be like, see, it's funny because it's a joke.
And that is the funny part. That's the redemption arc.
Yeah. That's how
you
rescue the joke every time. You're like, the joke was bad. I have to do it again, but different.
And I've been doing that.
Joke 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Two joke, two comedy. I have been literally doing that since I was a comedian because that was my defense mechanism. I would tell an absolute I'd tell an absolute stinker and go, yeah, no, I wasn't happy about that one either. I'd grab my notebook, chuck it.
Perfect. I love it. So Vale is in his hometown. he does this thing where he channels the characters that he has played in order to gain a confidence he feels he doesn't have as himself. You're nodding because you understand.
I too have done that.
I too have done that. We call that unknown masking, Vale for. Anyway, so he is masking up as his most recent character, Castor Duskfire, who is like this small town hunk with a kind of southern accent, because he hates this place. Hates this place. And the reason is because he knows the truth. There is a huge statue in the town square of Alaric Infernus, who is this immortalized town founder figure, and Vale knows that it's all bullshit. He knows that because he found evidence that the man that the demon that they all worship as their founding father was not a good guy. I don't know why anyone is surprised. No man with a big bronze statue is ever a good guy. Like, ever.
Rare exceptions.
Rare exceptions. Rarely. Except for maybe that one French statue in Paris that women rub their pussies on to get pregnant. That guy's kind of cool.
I was going to say there are a lot of athletes with statues outside of stadiums, but but their transgressions are probably not as bad as a literal demon's.
Yeah, no. Anyway, so because Vale had the audacity to bring up the horrible things that Alaric Infernus allegedly did in these old journals that he found, the town, and in particular Alaric's direct descendant, who is the dean of the academy there, did not like that. And so they basically shunned him. And that's why he had such a terrible adolescence.
Shun the non-believers.
Shun the non-believer. So anyway, he goes into his first interview with the Fae and famous reporter, who is a Fae woman named Beck. She has tiny wings. I love her. And it does not go well. He's already keyed up from being in this place that he hates, and he's having all of these big feelings about like trying to control this situation and make sure that she doesn't see the parts of town that he doesn't want her to see. But that ends up being exactly what happens. She wanders into the town square and sees the statue of Alaric Infernus. And that starts like setting off this like deep trauma response in Vale. He starts stuttering and can't really he's losing his confident, cool guy persona. And then the dean of the academy, who is, like I said, he's Alaric Infernus's direct descendant, Ambrose Infernus, just shows up on the scene to be shitty to Vale. Like, he is having a perfectly pleasant conversation with this woman, with this Fae from the magazine, unless you're Vale and you know that he is actually making very pointed digs at you.
Yeah.
That kind of situation. So he ends up bombing this interview with Beck. She leaves. He's pissed, and he ends up going to the bar, where he runs into our FMC. Her name is Dr. Chloe Sullivan, but everybody calls her Coco. And I love that. Coco is a human. She is average height with an athletic build. She has blue eyes, pale skin, freckles, at least 44, and brown hair that she wears in a short pixie cut for very practical reasons more than anything else. She's a doctor of psychology, and she specializes in magical dysfunction. She's recently moved to Winter Bliss to open a clinic to treat pyrokinetic dysfunction. That is her like life's goal, her mission. She loves the treatment of magical dysfunction, and everyone thinks she's weird because she's a human who wants to treat magical dysfunction.
Okay.
So treating a demon who can't spark is the colloquial way of saying it. They don't have a spark, is something that is believed to be impossible. Like, snake oil salesmen have tried to say that they can do it, and intensive 6-week courses have said that they can do it, but nobody's ever been able to do it. But Coco firmly believes that a combination of psychotherapy and these specific treatment techniques that she has helped pioneer will do it, if only somebody would give her the opportunity to try. And nobody will, because like I said, demons are a very secretive bunch. Even getting somebody in the door is almost impossible.
And you're not going to tell a human that you are magically dysfunctional because that would be the ultimate blackmail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to, you don't trust this human, and you don't want maybe anybody in town to know that you don't have a spark. So why in the fuck would you go to the spark doctor where everybody would now know? Like, she's having a really hard time. So she ends up...
They don't have, like, hymns for demons.
No, they don't. Which is really unfortunate. You can't just get, like, ED medication for your fire dysfunction or whatever. Eruption dysfunction.
Eruptile dysfunction.
Eruptile dysfunction. Yes. Thank you. Oh, my God.
See, I didn't need to tell you that was funny.
No, you
just
didn't.
knew.
It was great. Redemption. Anyway.
And a callback.
Yes. So she ends her day and she goes to town to this same bar that Vale is at because she is going to go to the engagement party of a couple from the first season. And when she gets there, she suddenly freezes. She looks at all these people. She doesn't feel like she fits in. Sure, some of them are human, but most of them are demons, and she's just feeling so heavy and wrong about everything that's going on in her life. She's been given notice by the benefactors of her clinic that if she doesn't turn her numbers around, they're closing her doors, and she's just feeling awful. So she sits down at the bar and she orders some tots and a beer, and she calls her sister, and she has a conversation with her sister for a little while, and then in the middle of that conversation, Vale just staggers up to her half drunk and says, I know what your problem is. And I will tell you if you give me your tater tots. Do we have a deal? And she's like, sis, I'm going to have to call you back because shit just got interesting.
Top me, babe.
Yeah, top me, bitch. So ultimately she does agree. And he basically tells her, no demon is ever going to talk to you, because they can smell that you are not confident in your own abilities. Yes, they have very sensitive... There's a name for it, vasovagal nerve, whatever. So there's a fancy name that they made up for this organ in their nose that smells emotions, and they flick their tongue out to taste the air, and I hate it every time.
Because that's a double whammy.
Because it's awful. It's awful. What do you mean you can taste it? What do you mean?
Listeners, she's so mad.
I hate it so much. I know everybody's laughing at me right now, and that's fine. Everybody thinks I'm hilarious.
I'm not laughing at you.
I know. But anyway, so he says everybody can taste, smell, sense that you are a nervous wreck. Nobody's going to trust you. You might as well close your doors. And she says, no, I fully believe that I can do this. And he's like, well, what do you even do? Like, what do you treat? And she says that she treats demons who can't spark. And he says, oh, well, nobody can do that. It's not real. Mm-hmm. It's not possible. So, you might as well just give up and go home, little lady.
Now, top me again.
Right?
Top me some more. Or take those tots to go.
Right?
Sorry.
T-O-T-T-O-G-O.
I will take these tots to go.
God damn it.
It was worth it.
It was.
All right.
It was. Okay. Then he starts flirting with her. Like he's now told her that her life's work is a joke and she should just quit.
And now he's flirting.
Now he should come back to my hotel and have sex with me.
You forgot to mention all the things that demons do. That one of the things they do is misunderstand how like the order of operations for fucking.
This is like negging, but worse.
Yeah, he doesn't understand negging. You're really bad at this. You should have sex.
You're fat and ugly. You want to have sex? That's negging, right?
Right.
No.
Wow, you're right.
Anyway, so he is very charming. He is very handsome. He is very flirty. And he's a little drunk and silly. And so she is a little like blushy and turned on by this hot guy flirting with her. But he's like, yeah, come back to my hotel. And she's like, yeah, I don't even know your name. He's like, yeah, isn't that better that way? Because we don't know each other. And she's like, no.
That's actually worse.
No, I have someone to go home to. And he's like, oh, okay, never mind. That someone that she has to go home to is her aged chihuahua, Mariah Scary. She's the kind of chihuahua that Carl hates.
Yeah.
And she has been besties with Coco since Coco was an undergrad and first adopted her. She fucking loves this dog. She loves her. She carries her in her purse. She wears a sweater all the time. She's constantly trembling and yapping. Carl hates chihuahuas like that.
Yeah. I lived with one for a while.
Yeah, no, he's scarred by it because of his childhood. Yeah. So she goes home to a night with her dog, and he stays at the bar. He is about to leave and go back to his hotel room and start managing the storm of phone calls he has going on in his pocket from his manager, whose name is Aaron.
Okay.
But on his way out the door, he runs into a friend that he thought he would never see again, another Winter Bliss expat who swore she would never come back. Her name is Iggy. And then right after he runs into Iggy, as they are talking, they run into their other friend who they thought would never come back. His name is Rex.
Is this the day before Thanksgiving in Winter Bliss?
No, I know, right? This is what it feels like. Why are you all suddenly here? It is close to the holidays, though, so that's probably why. So these two people are Ramona Rex, a.k.a. Rex, who is a giant southern good old boy demon, and Ignatia, aka Iggy, who is a former goth girl turned like old-fashioned boss babe. Instead of going home, they, like smart and responsible adults, get wasted at this bar.
White girl wasted?
Red demon wasted. Deeply fucking wasted until I think they either stay through last call or they get kicked out for being overserved. Then they get kicked out of their cab because they can't tell them where they're going. And they get kicked out in town square, right in front of the statue of Alaric and Furnace. And Vale's like, you guys, I know why I'm here. We need to destroy this statue. And indeed they do. And the next thing you know, they wake up in a jail cell because they blew the thing sky high and they all got knocked out and arrested. Fucking idiots.
Alcohol and high explosives. What could go wrong?
Alcohol and people who can literally make fire with their hands.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Yeah, so that didn't go well. The next morning, Coco wakes up and her landlord is knocking on her door. Her landlord is a lovely older demon named Judge Grimshaw. He is the high judge of the demon court of Winter Bliss, and he is coming to ask for a favor, which is a big deal for demons. He needs a ride to the courthouse. There is an emergency hearing, and he can't find his glasses anywhere, so he can't drive, this poor man. And she's like, okay, sure. And eventually she drives him to the courthouse. And in this conversation, this is where he starts teaching her how to use a demon deal to her advantage. If a demon asks you for a favor, think about what you want in return and make sure that you get it right. And through a series of like little practice deals that she makes with him in the car, she gets herself into the courtroom to see the hearing, as long as she promises that she will not make herself known at all. But she's curious and she wants to see what's got an emergency hearing happening on a random morning. Yeah. And so he ultimately agrees. This is the trial for Vale, Rex, and Iggy for destroying the town statue. Vale stands up and he spins this story about how it's all his fault and they just were doing what he said. And they're like, shut your fucking mouth. Don't say anything else. But he can't stop yapping because he's a yapper. And so eventually he is face down with jail time. Mm-hmm. Like the judge is like, I should be giving you jail time for this. And Vale says, please, no. My wife just opened a clinic and she needs my help. And he's trying to improv his way back to LA for his upcoming movie premiere. He was going to say that his wife opened a clinic in LA, but the judge doesn't know, or he doesn't know that the judge knows Coco, or that Coco is here, or that the judge thinks that Coco is a married woman because he's just a confused old man. There's this is a comedy of fucking errors. And eventually what ends up happening is Coco stands up and says, no, he's right. I'm his wife. It's my clinic. Like she's just trying to save his ass because his lie is spiraling. It is coming apart at the seams. And she's just, and she stands up and she says, no, I'm the wife. I'm the wife. And eventually even though Judge Grimshaw doesn't necessarily believe any of this, I don't think anybody believes any of this. I think they all just kind of wanted to see what would happen.
We're all like, oh, he's yes-anding his way through
yeah,
this. Okay.
right. Okay, I just want to see what happens. He does accept the explanation, and ultimately the punishment for all three of them is this: probation, confined to Winter Bliss and the surrounding area to be served, and 250 hours of community service to be served over the course of 12 weeks. Which is about 20 hours a week of community service, by the way. Rex and Iggy leave pissed for their own reasons. If you want to know everything else about what happens with them, you can read Rex's book, which is called A Frenemy in Need, and Iggy's book, which is called A Spark of Trouble. Vale meets with his probation officer, who is this super jacked orc named Gail. She is so fucking cool. And she fits him with his horn monitor, like an ankle monitor, but for your horn. And he is truly embarrassed because his horns are so small that she has a hard time finding one that will even fit. I think she has to get a juvenile one.
I was just going to say, like, oh, I got to go get a adolescent.
Yeah, that really fucking sucks. And she like Allen wrenches it onto his horn, and she gives him his instructions, which he doesn't really listen to, and then he leaves. Coco catches him on his way out and tries to offer him this deal. Hey, listen, I just saved your ass in there. You owe me a favor, and also I need your help getting my clinic sorted out because you said that you knew why it wasn't working, so you can help me fix it, and I'll keep pretending to be your wife so that the judge doesn't catch you. And he's like, absolutely not. You're a fucking insane person. I am calling my manager and her battalion of lawyers, and I am fucking leaving. Goodbye. And he goes back to his hotel and he plugs in his phone, which died at some point during his crime spree. And he expects that the call that he gets as soon as it turns on from Erin is going to be pissed because he blew up a fucking statue. But no, she's thrilled because somebody at the bar last night snapped a picture of him and Coco being all flirty, and then the rumor mill is already going about him having a wife in town because this all happened in fucking open court, and everybody is eating up Vale and his secret wife in the middle of nowhere, and they fucking love it. Vale, you're a genius.
And they said it on the record in court.
I know.
The stenographer was like, you can see
it's on the. No, he is my husband.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. Yeah. So she's like, no. You have to stay there. You have to keep this going. Everybody loves this. This is better than any publicity we could have done.
This is so fucking genius.
I know. It's amazing. So he goes to Coco's apartment. I don't know how he found out where it was.
Smelled it
out. Oh God. Oh no. But he goes to her apartment, and when she opens the door, he barges in. He insults her dog. He insults Mariah Carey. He judges her decorative tastes and the size of her place, and then he gets down on one knee and proposes.
Okay, now I support his decision to fuck with Mariah Carey.
He calls her the rat for most of the book, and it eventually becomes endearing. He does love Mariah, but she's a rat, right? Yeah. But this is establishing a pattern of behavior for Vale. He wants what he wants, and he doesn't care if he hurts your feelings before he asks. So he's like, your dog's ugly, your house is too small, you have sulfates in your shampoo, be my wife.
Parabens? The fuck is this?
And she agrees for pragmatic reasons. It's not because there's like an incredibly sexy demon channeling all his charm into like one focus group honed grin and like her panties are melting a little. No, it's pragmatic. She needs help at her clinic. She agrees to be his wife at like a few press things in advance of the movie release, and he agrees to be, quote, the most helpful demon ever at the clinic. And they shake hands on it in what is like a magical devil's bargain. Like when they shake, there's the smell of brimstone and smoke comes out of his eyes and stuff.
Really glad you said eyes.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, peace out, wifey. I'll text you later. And she's like, no, you have to stay here. We're married. He says, I can't stay here. This place is a hole. And she...
Have you seen where you live?
And she's like, my very lovely apartment is right across the hall from the landlord, a very lovely man named Judge Grimshaw. You can't leave. He'll know you're not my husband if you leave. So you're fucked. You have to stay here. And he's like, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah,
I hate you.
Me.
Yeah.
I'm the one.
Right? This is somehow her fault. This is her fault. This is not your fault for the arson and being shitty.
Yeah.
No.
I'm the one who stood up and declared myself to be your spouse.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I mean, I am, but you started.
So moving forward, he's going to be moving into her 1-bedroom apartment. He, like I said, he insults her sulfate-laden shampoo, and he climbs into her bed because he needs to get a good night's sleep. It is important for his fitness routine and his skincare regimen, or whatever fucking reason he fucking gives. He climbs into her bed, and she's like, "You're sleeping on the floor," and he just says no and climbs into her bed. And at this point in the book, this is where I made stink face. I was just like, I don't like this man. He is spoiled. He is a brat. He has control issues. He has a huge complex that is caused by years of bullying and being mocked as a child, only then to be immediately plucked into Hollywood where he was told he was perfect and could do no wrong.
Oh, yeah. Don't enable those people.
This man is not nice.
No, those are not the people we should be enabling.
No. He goes on a whole journey throughout this book, and by the end of it, I loved him. But at this point in the book, stink face. I wanted to punch him. So Coco ends up agreeing to make the pillow wall in the bed and ignoring all the like sort of vaguely horny feelings of having this handsome man in her bed, and wakes up the next morning to the big spoon of Vale in her behind her back with his dick in her ass cleft, because of course this is just what happens when you wake up snuggling a person with a penis. You end up with a dick in your ass. So she wiggles out of bed and she takes Mariah out for a walk where she runs into the judge, who reminds her that there are consequences if Vale does not meet his community service requirements. And that information comes in very handy because she takes him into the clinic for their first day of community service, and he turns out to be the most unhelpful little shit ever because they were not clear when they made the devil's bargain. He just said, "I will be the most helpful demon ever." But he didn't clarify what that meant. So he's like, okay. And he like turns her keyboard until it's straight. The most helpful demon ever. I'm done. Bye.
No demon has ever done more than that.
Seriously. And she ends this day fully pissed. And she's going to go and like cry with Mariah and have a drink or something. But she gets a call from Gail, the orc parole officer, who needs her to come and pick up all of the paperwork and stuff because she is Vale's community service correspondent officer or whatever. She is in charge of all of Vale's paperwork, and she now has all of the leverage that she needs to make him behave himself. So she calls him to come to a local wine bar, and so she's sort of making him think that his flirtations are working, or like maybe they really do just need to like have a drink and relax or something. But as soon as he walks into this bar, he is immediately fined $500. He gets a notification on his phone. And then he stands there for a few minutes and he walks a little further in, and then he gets another notification for another $500. And that's when she says, "Hey, you need to read the paperwork and listen to your probation officer, because then you would know that you are on an extremely tight leash and you're not allowed to walk inside any establishment that serves alcohol for the next 90 days. You're my bitch," is basically what she says. No alcohol, no bars, no undisclosed immolations, and no pissing off Coco. Try being a brat now. You can't do it. So the next scene is Vale actually helping Coco at the clinic. So they have installed scent neutralizers. They've added security, soundproofing, white noise machines, late night hours for added privacy. Vale is actually helping Coco find ways to make her clinic functional for her demon clients. He's advising her on how to get her past lost clients to potentially come back. He takes his break for the afternoon. They eat something and they discuss his acting career for a little bit, his passion for it, his excitement for it, his fans. He loves his fans. He takes his Nymphstagram really seriously. Like, he takes a picture every morning. He does the whole, he understands that he sold his soul to the social media gods for this, but he also takes it seriously because he knows it's important. He's not full of it in this regard, at least. And then he tells her about how confident he feels when he's performing well. Like, he has a stutter. He was born with a stutter. It comes out when he's nervous. So he avoids words that start with M and W. And he has studied a bunch of techniques on how to avoid the stutter, but it has never fully gone away, except when he's performing. When he's performing, it always goes away. And she starts to understand a little more about how scared he is inside. Like, he's really just a sad, scared little boy on the inside, but on the outside, he's a dick.
Yeah, I can actually 100% totally relate to that because I have Tourette's.
Yes.
And one of my big twitches, I don't have Tourette's. Most people who have Tourette's don't have it bad to where it's so compassionately portrayed in film and television. It's always handled so well and tactfully.
Super healthy.
I have some physical twitches and some verbal tics, but I can control them. And theater helped me, and acting helped me overcome that. And the biggest thing is like when you're up there, you're not thinking about it. And that's kind of what pulls you out of that.
Yep, it pushes you away.
Yeah.
So the next scene they have is a photo shoot for his movie. She plays the dutiful wife. It's very sweet. They get all dressed up and they go to this local ranch. They have pictures. They do an interview. While getting ready for this, they share this like stupidly hot kiss. They are denying their attraction to each other, but I am not. They are into each other. And then during the interview, he is so sweet with her the whole time. So he holds her hand. He looks at her like with his like true light and passion when she's talking about her work. Everybody's like melting and swooning about how sweet he is with his wife. From the outside, their relationship looks like completely real and normal, and Vale is leaning into it because it's what Aaron wants, but he is also not answering the questions the way he was instructed, because Aaron wants him to lie about what happened in Winter Bliss. She wants him to say that there was a gas main explosion or something, and he can't do that because he doesn't want the tourism in downtown to be affected by something like the possibility of another explosion. Yeah. So he says, no, I destroyed that statue, and I think maybe you need to look into the history of Alaric and Furnace to find out why.
Oh no, he's going rogue.
Oh no.
All the PR training.
His like PR wrangler person and Aaron are mad, but he doesn't fucking care. That night, she watches the trailer for Vale's new movie when he's out, and when he gets back, she throws the phone like she was watching porn. It was really funny. It was so sweet. She didn't want him to know that she watched it. She gets a little like swoony over his romantic lead performance and stuff. So at bedtime that night, she's like, you can stop sleeping on your pallet on the floor and you can come sleep in the bed again. He hasn't been sleeping in the bed after the first night. Now he's back in the bed again. Before they go to sleep, they chat about Coco's work a little more, like why she got into magical dysfunction at all as a human. And this is where we start to learn about her mother. So her mom is an incredibly famous child psychologist. Like, if you say her mother's name in certain circles, people go, what? That's your mom? And so she kind of went into psychology because it's what her mother did, and she was just going through the motions of it until she opened her first magical dysfunction textbook, and then it was like the spark was lit. She needed to keep doing this, and it's what she's passionate about. Then they talk about her father. So her father, now that her mom has retired, they are in like Fiji or something. So her father can catalog these really rare turtles. He's in his retirement, he's studying turtles in the middle of nowhere. He sounds like the sweetest old man. I love him. Like he's almost never mentioned in the book except for him and his turtles. And I'm just like, yeah, he's got his turtles.
I love
it. I just imagine like tall socks and a long white streak of zinc and a man who's crying over baby turtles, and I just love it. After that, so that chat becomes pretty intimate and they kiss again, and Coco is feeling really torn about being horny for him versus the responsibility of like the situation that she is in, and she's technically not actually his wife and she's technically lying for him and all this stuff, but also she's crazy stupid horny, and the shirt comes off and eventually she ends up grinding in his lap. This is a frottage scene. They both end up coming in their pants. It's great. And then they snuggle in and they go to sleep. 1 month later, we skip forward in time, Vale and Coco are doing well. The clinic is going great. Vale is up Aaron's ass about getting the lawyers to end his probation early so that he can go to LA for his premiere. But every time he sees like pictures from the press tour and his co-stars, it's starting to look more and more empty. He's not feeling the FOMO the way that he used to. The glitz and glamour is sort of lacking in substance. And then Coco calls him into the immolation chamber, which is this special room that they have. It's like this super flammable room. It's like basically a giant oven.
Okay.
You put a patient in there, you light it up so that they can feel the flame. Like they're trying to become one with the flame, and then you turn it off and you hope that they can spark themselves, right? It's very cool. It's also why she has short hair. The first time she tried to learn how to use this machine, she burned her hair off.
This is our box of heat.
Yep. So they watch as a very young demoness client that she has been working with manages to spark her flame for the first time ever. And Coco has done it. Her treatments have worked. This woman is crying inside the immolation chamber, and she and Vale are like jumping up and down. He's so proud of her. He kisses her. I was very proud of her. This was a great moment. In her office, as they're closing up later, Vale discusses her work with her some more. She tries to give all of her credit to like the patients and the client and the treatments, but he's like, no, you are the person who makes the treatments work for the patient.
So he's like, he saw it with his own eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
He believes her. He knows that it's real now. In gratitude for his belief in her and for helping this clinic to function the way it needed to, for her first client to be able to spark, she gets down on her knees to give this guy a blowjob. Absolutely. You have to, right? So she kneels down to suck his dick, and she also turns off all of the scent neutralizers in the room, including the personal scent neutralizer that she's been carrying around. And that's when Vale learns that she has been dulling her arousal around him for weeks. So we turn the demon horny up to like 11.5 at that point, because he can suddenly smell it all. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and
you have to admit,
I know
it would be fun for him to realize.
Yeah, it would. Like that one moment where he got hit with it so hard, he was like, yeah. And it was pretty great. It was. Now we can discuss Vale's weird dick. It's been a few weeks since we've had a weird dick.
Yeah.
So,
we've got a weird dick sighting here.
Weird dick. It is a demon dick. So it is big, too big for his frame. It's a demon thing, apparently. It is ridged for her pleasure, but the ridges are like large hump kind of ridges. And when he gets super turned on, smoke starts to pour out of his eyes, which is crazy. It's just a side note that I thought was really fun. It's like he's crying smoke.
Yeah.
So he pulls out of her mouth mid blowjob, and she's like, I wasn't finished. And he says, I know. But here's the deal. So he pulls her pencil skirt up. She's always wearing these pencil skirts and like librarian tops. He's going fucking crazy for this woman. He pulls up her pencil skirt and rips a hole in her pantyhose and eats her out. That becomes a little bit too much, I think, and eventually they separate, and she asks him to jack off for her instead, and she jills for him at the same. They masturbate together until they both come. Great scene, fantastic, loved it, totally glorious. At some point, I think they attend a town function, and right after this, I don't really remember. They do a lot of fun little things like that during the book, though. Coco has like signed herself up for a lot of different town functions to try and network, and she's hoping that bringing her demon quote unquote husband along to these things will help ingratiate her to the community more. I think at one point they did like a Thanksgiving thing or something, and he dressed up like a turkey. It sounded really cute. Vale has his first month probation meeting with Gale, and he meets with Rex and Iggy for the first time since court, and we see how they are doing. Read their books, find out more there. He talks to Iggy specifically about seeking treatment with Coco because Iggy can't spark, but she would never tell anyone. She didn't even try to deny her part in blowing up the statue because she doesn't want anyone to know. So she certainly is not going to want to go to therapy where she would have to admit openly that she can't spark. So she leaves that situation. He goes into his meeting with Gale, which is not at all about her incredible physique or the importance of, I think, what did she say? Progressive overload in the weight room. And
100% can confirm.
Yeah. She encourages him to consider that his marriage with Coco might be more real than he's letting on. Like, everybody knows that you're faking it, but are you faking it? Mm-mm. Are you? And then she encourages him to maybe stay in Winter Bliss, maybe make his next movie here. That would be pretty cool. You can make a movie here. And he's like, yeah, I'll get right on that. He goes back out to find Coco talking with Judge Grimshaw, who is like petting and holding Mariah. Mariah and the judge have a really sweet relationship, and he hates that. Like, he storms up and he's like, stop touching my dog. Get away from my dog. You can't arrest a dog. Get away. And this conversation goes very, very poorly. Vale is convinced that the judge can see through his lie and that they have to do more to convince him. He's convinced the judge hates him and has it out for him. He gets in the car with Coco, and she has to like basically talk him off of the ledge. This is more of a therapy scene. She's like, I understand that you think that the judge has it out for you, but he's not poking holes in our story. Our story is full of holes. There's a difference.
Tim and Daisy had a better cover in space.
Seriously. Daisy, I hear sex noise. They do that.
They do the
next scene is him doing that. He's like, come with me, go to your bedroom, we're going to jump on the bed.
I'm going to see if I can find that clip.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find that clip, and then I'm going to see if anybody recognizes the actor that plays her boyfriend in that series, because I don't think they will.
Nobody will, because I didn't either. Anyway, so they do try to do that, the jumping on the bed thing, but she ultimately shuts that down, and she basically says, no, I don't want to convince the judge that we're more married, because you keep forgetting that when this is over, you leave. Mm-hmm. But I stay here and I have to deal with the fallout, whether it's a quote unquote divorce or everybody finds out I lied. But either way, I'm fucked and you get to leave. So I'm not going to play along with making the judge believe we are more married than we are.
Yeah,
okay.
She's got way more to lose than Vale does.
Exactly. She tells him that she believes that the judge is a kind but lonely man, and her career could actually be destroyed in this town if Vale doesn't step correct. So maybe think about someone else other than yourself, sir. And he will go. He will eventually. He does. It takes him a while, but he goes on a journey. He grows. He learns how to be empathetic to other people. I swear. The next night, Vale goes out, and Coco curls up to watch her favorite nerdy sci-fi show, which is called Quantum Renegade. Sounds like a combination of Star Trek and Stargate.
Yeah.
And she was very embarrassed by this. It's this thing that she hides because it's super nerdy. He comes back in to the apartment while she's watching, and he's like, "What are you watching?" And she's like, "Nothing." And he pretends that he wants to watch along with her just to see what it's all about. And not at all, because Quantum Renegade is his favorite television show, and this is the reboot, and the guy on screen named Thraxius with the helmet, that's him. That's Vale. But he played this character under a stage name, and his manager convinced him to erase all memory of it from his history because it's too nerdy and it would affect his image. So he watches all of Quantum with her, and she just lights up because she loves it. It's her favorite show. And he has this secret in his back pocket, that's me. That's me up there, and she doesn't know it. They watch the sci-fi show and they snuggle and bond. They get all right. So we'll flip forward 2 weeks in time. They are 2 months into probation now. Coco has planned a surprise in celebration of her clinic officially not being closed down. She got the notice from her benefactors that they are officially staying open. She has booked them a weekend getaway at a nice cabin on the mountain, and they spend their first day taking a nice long walk, taking pictures for Vale's Nymphstagram at Coco's request because she knows it's important to Vale. They have a lovely afternoon. I want to say they make a meal together. He takes her to a hot spring nearby that he knows is a local hot spot. They go skinny dipping in that hot spring and produce the brown chickens and brown cows because it's time to get horny, right? So Coco gets frisky underneath the water, and Vale reveals that he's been carrying around a surprise of his own. He got a special oil from his friend Ram that will help with the size difference issue that Coco is concerned about.
I was going to say, because they never, they always say, oh, his dick's the size of a paper towel roll, and she gave him a blowjob, and nobody ever says, how?
Yeah.
But they always acknowledge the fucking.
Yeah. Well, I think they did even in the blowjob scene acknowledge that that's a monster. That's a beast. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but she does her best.
Yeah.
She did a great job. Proud of her. But so they do need a special oil for this part of the situation. Demon sex oil applied directly to the pussy apparently. And the oil comes, so it produces this sort of hot and tingly sensation that makes Coco go absolutely crazy. They go slow to start to get Vale in there because again he is a big boy, but once it's in, this is awesome. They have amazing screaming sex in the woods on the edge of this hot spring, and as they are floating around in their post-orgasmic bliss in this hot water, Coco suddenly has the thought, there's no way that this is fake anymore. Oh shit. Back at the cabin, she teaches him a family card game, and they have another long conversation about her mom. Vale gives her some really good advice in this scene. I'm really proud of him. Look at him. He's growing as a person and being empathetic. He basically tells her that he should tell her mom everything and not hide things from her because she's embarrassed. She is a grown adult and she has her own clinic and her own life, and she shouldn't try to be her mother. The next morning, Coco wakes up first, but she stays snuggled in with Vale and sort of lets her mind go wild. Eventually, Vale wakes up and she asks him, out of all the random things she pulls out of her ass, she asks him if he could use his Hollywood connections to maybe get Quantum Renegade back on TV because she loves it so much. And he's like, I'm not that kind of Hollywood famous. But they do turn this into a flirty, like, what's in it for me kind of situation, and they get fun and naked again. So Vale, in this scene, has a request. He would like to be handcuffed to the bed and used.
Okay.
And Coco can do that. She definitely can. So in this scene, he is pet and she is mistress. She handcuffs him to the bed. She goes for the ride of her life, and he is a total puddle of happy pet underneath her when she is done. This scene was really, really great because he tries to flip into the caster persona, like the hot country bumpkin persona, to protect this vulnerable side of himself. But as soon as she's on top of him, she says, I don't want caster. I want Vale. That's what's important to me right now. And he is like a whimpering mess by the time. That's exactly what he needed. Such a great scene. So wonderful. So they cuddle up and they spend the next 36 hours until their late checkout just fucking sleeping and fucking and eating and fucking. Yes. Happy weekend. Everybody loves it.
Love it.
When they go back, she goes to see Judge Grimshaw to get Mariah because he's dog sitting. And the first thing she asks is if he would maybe be willing to let Vale go to his premiere in LA because it means a lot to him. And she wants him to have the things that mean a lot to him. And the judge can't talk to her about that at all, obviously, but she does at least deliver the message. She goes to leave then and she asks, like, what's with this weird, like, tarp covered lumpy object on your back porch? You've had this here since I moved in. I'm curious. And he shows her. He is a woodworker. He uses fire to shape wood, which is super cool. And he shows her a park bench that he made in memory of his late wife, Jessica. It is now a scorched and warped pile because right after it was installed in the park, Vale destroyed it. Yeah, it's a pattern of behavior with Vale to destroy nice things in town, right? That happened when he was a teenager, and it's been sitting on his back porch ever since. So she's like, okay, I have a lot to think about now because you just gave me some pretty heavy information. Can I please have my dog? And he says, oh, no, she's already back in your apartment with your mother. Oh, yeah, fuck. Oh, shit, her mom's in town. She showed up to surprise her, and she's been there hanging out with Vale. So Coco runs across the hall to her apartment, and she is suddenly confronted with her mom and this huge lie standing together in the same space. And now she's Mom. Got all this extra information about Vale destroying this beautiful memorial to the judge's wife, and she's freaking out. And eventually she's like, Mom, do you want to go get lunch? And we can talk privately. So she and her mom go with Mariah to go get lunch, and they don't come back. She ends up texting Vale saying, hey, we're getting a hotel room and we're staying here tonight. I will see you tomorrow. And Vale is freaking out and upset about it, but he doesn't leave. He just stays in the apartment all night. And the next morning he wakes up and he gets a call from Erin, and she says, pack your bags. We got you early probation or whatever, and you're coming home today. You have to come home. It's time for the premiere. We have a bunch of plans. The focus groups are eating up this whole bad boy who destroys statues things. So we are going to soft launch your relationship with your co-star at the premiere. Everybody will love the whole left his country bumpkin wife for the hot co-star thing. And he's like, no, what the fuck? No. And she says, Vale, do you ever want to get your stupid sci-fi reboot off of the ground? Then you better listen to me. She has been dangling a Quantum Renegade sci-fi reboot in front of him like a carrot for like her entire career with him. She's such a cunt. I hate this woman so much. But anyway, so that has him sort of flagged on whether or not he wants to stay or go. She has him convinced he belongs in LA. He has himself convinced he belongs in Winter Bliss with Coco. So he goes to the hotel to find her, to talk to her. But when he sees her, she tells him that she knows about Judge Grimshaw's bench, and she thinks that he needs to leave. He needs to go back to LA. He doesn't belong here. He says, that was something I did. When I was younger, I was stupid. And then he lays out the whole story of what happened when he was a kid. Basically, he was on scholarship to this academy, and he wrote the essay about Alaric in Furness to maintain that scholarship. But because Ambrose in Furness didn't like the portrayal of his ancestor, he destroyed Vale's reputation at the school and denied him his scholarship. His parents had to take on second jobs. He lost out on the family life that he had at home. He was really bitter and estranged from everyone in town. So when the judge put a new bench in, he just fucking burned it. And he couldn't tell that it was a memorial bench until it was too late. And he has this whole breakdown, and he tells her all about it. And she says, I'm not the one you need to say this to.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go.
Yeah, across the hall.
Goodbye. Well, she's at the hotel with
yeah.
her mother.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you need to leave. Goodbye. And he does. And he goes back to get all of his stuff from her apartment, and he goes to talk to the judge, and he apologizes to him. He says that, he was just a stupid kid and he was upset. And the fact that they didn't believe him about his essay has been eating him for so long. And the judge says, well, none of your sources were real. We looked, we couldn't find anything. And he says, hey, did you ever think maybe the dean of students who didn't want me to shit on his ancestor might have destroyed those records?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever stopped to think maybe these upstanding members of our community have never been upstanding? Not once? And the judge is like, okay, I'll contemplate some things. They have a short conversation about a lot of stuff, but the judge does agree to take off his horn ring. So they take it off and he leaves.
When calling out demon corruption, do you say this goes all the way to the top
or all the way to the bottom? That's a good question. It goes all the way to the core.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. So he leaves. He goes back to LA. And the next scene we get with him is him in Erin's office. And he is like, the first thing he does is he asks her if she read the Quantum Renegade script. Have you ever read the Quantum Renegade script? Ever? And she's like, yeah, of course I did. He's like, no, you haven't. I can tell by looking at your face. Read it right now. He hands her the script. The first 10 pages, read it right now. And she just won't do it. She basically is like, it's garbage. It's sci-fi. It'll ruin your career. I hate it. I hate you. I hate my life. I have no whimsy, no joy. I am a robot made of collagen or whatever. Like, she's just awful. And he fires her. He says, I don't want to work with you anymore. You do not support my vision.
Yeah.
And she says, if you do that, you will be everything they say you are in the Faye and Famous article. That's right. An article actually came out. He thought he ditched that reporter and it was never going to happen. But it turns out that she was doing a deep dive on him. Mm-hmm. And she published like a 6-page spread in Faye and Famous about the geeky, scrawny, adolescent, stuttering, tiny horned Vale fur sad boy or whatever. And Erin thinks that this is going to like stop him from making these decisions because it will ruin his reputation or whatever. But the moment that it's all out there, he realizes he's fine.
Yeah.
He feels calm. He feels good. He feels fine. And he leaves. Erin's still fired. Back in Winter Bliss, Coco and her mother are continuing to run the clinic just fine. Her mom is coming out of retirement now because she just can't stay away from working too hard. She wants to learn all about the immolation machine and the new techniques that Coco has. She wants to, half of the year while dad is with the turtles, come and live with her in Winter Bliss and have an adolescent clinic so they can start catching these dysfunctions earlier and helping these children sooner. And Chloe, that is her name. Coco is like, holy shit, mom, yes, this is it. This is everything I've always wanted. This is exactly what I want. And I can ignore the fact that I am heartbroken all the time because Vale left and I'm sad about it. But I really think I made the right choice. And they go to get dressed to go to Judge Grimshaw's house to dress his tree because he loves Christmas. And his wife was human, so he celebrated Christmas with her. And while they are there, she gets a letter, like a special package delivered to her. It's a VIP ticket to the premiere and a first class plane ticket and a script. And she has a conversation with the judge that ultimately makes her opinion of Vale change quite a lot, especially when she learns that Vale has established a scholarship in the judge's late wife's name at the academy.
Mm-hmm.
She goes home to have a long think, and she reads the Quantum Renegade script, and her mom comes home to find her sobbing, and she's like, what's wrong? And she's like, it's just so good. It's just such a good script. She loves it so much. Eventually she's like, I have to go to LA. I have to go right now. So she packs and she leaves and she goes to LA, and she goes to the premiere, where Vale ultimately finds her in a green room where she's being held by security because they wouldn't let Mariah Carey into the premiere.
Good.
She's a purse dog in LA. She thought that she could just come in, but no. And
not a Midwestern purse dog.
So they have this beautiful and teary reunion in this green room, and they have this beautiful kiss, but it's interrupted by a Hollywood producer who has stopped in to knock on the door and say, hey, I heard that you have been working on a Quantum Renegade reboot. I would like to be involved in that. And Vale is like, this isn't just some cash grab. This is a real passion project for me. Are you going to come in this with heart? And he quotes the show. Oh, fuck yeah. Okay. You're a real fan. Yes, let's do this. And as the guy goes to leave, he says, by the way, I'm sorry your season was cut short. You were my favorite Thraxius. And Coco goes, say that again. He was my favorite Thraxius? What? That is the moment she realizes that her ultimate sci-fi hero hunk fantasy character is her fiance because she proposed to him. And she turns to this bigwig Hollywood producer and she says, I mean this with all due respect, but you need to get the fuck out before you see something you cannot unsee. And then they fuck like lunatics in this green room because it's Thraxius. Yeah. It's Thraxius. She's having sex with Thraxius, and he's also her fiance. Like, what the fuck? This is insane.
Can you put the helmet on?
She asks him if he owns a helmet. Of course she does. She asks him if he owns a helmet, but she's like, not right now, not right now. We just have to do this right now. Yeah. So then they have this incredible sex in the green room. Cathartic. I love yous all around. He misses the premiere. He does not care. The end.
That was one of the most. Again, I am hesitant to make such broad sweeping statements, and of course recency bias is a thing, but that was one of the most well crafted.
Right? It's so fun.
Yeah, it was.
It's like a comedy of errors, farcical, goofy, clever. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. No, that is a thing that I am very much into. Hey. What are you into?
What am I into? I'm so glad you asked. I am into BioShock.
Yes.
So a few weeks ago on the show, you mentioned that you thought that BioShock had an easy mode.
It did, yeah.
And that turned out to be correct. And then you found a copy of BioShock for me for my Switch at I think a disc replay or something. Yep. And it turns out that what you thought was just like the first two games is actually all three games, and they're all the remastered deluxe editions.
It should have all the DLC too.
And all the DLC.
Yeah. And BioShock, the third BioShock is probably my favorite.
I have I just started on BioShock 1, but on easy mode, I've only died twice, and there are sandboxed guardrails in place. I am just being forced in the right direction, and that's great because that's what I need. I can't navigate video games to save my neck, but I love the stories, so I'm really, really excited to be playing it, and it's creepy as fuck, and everybody runs around with these weird masks, and there's always crying in corners and stuff, and it's awesome and weird. I love it. What are you into?
I am also, I'm into not a video game, well, technically a video game, but broadly, I'm speedrunning Hades again.
Hell you are, baby. Yes, you are.
I've mentioned on the show before that I was an avid player of Hades, and it was the first game that I started speedrunning. I'm nowhere near the record, which the last time I checked was 5 minutes and 5 seconds for a IGT in-game time run of Hades. But I decided to pick up Hades again and start trying to speedrun it. I have made it. I have in the past gotten a sub 10-minute run, which is a pretty good barometer. A sub 10-minute run puts you pretty close to the top 1,000 runs. But when you think about how many times people have played this game over time, it's like, oh, okay, I'm pretty proud of myself. At one point in my life, I will eventually speedrun other games. Speedrunning on a console is very difficult, but I love the challenge. I love the way it changes how you play the game. And yeah, it's just fun. So I'm into speed running.
Yes.
If you ever want to watch a speed run, just get on YouTube and pick a video game you like. Somebody's probably speed run it. My favorite ones are the Games Done Quick runs, the GDQ runs.
Yeah, those are great. There's a lot of energy in those crowds. They're really exciting.
They'll do some goofy stuff, like the Alan Wake 2 speed run from January was amazing because there's a dance number in the game,
and they
got
did
up
the dance.
and did the dance while it was on.
If you want to see something really cool, there's a Shiba Inu who can play video games.
Oh, the baseball, the
dog who can play baseball.
I'll post that. We're gonna get some bonus links this week, but we are running a little bit long, and now that we do these different points, we got to get going. We got to go get the kids, is what I'm saying. So, what do we have on the agenda for next week?
Next week, I'm not telling you.
Good. That saves me some time. I'm excited to hear whatever it is, but in the meantime, you can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. That's all in our link tree if you want to check us out there. But at Cheap Smut on TikTok and Instagram, at Cheap Smut Pod on Blue Sky. If you'd like to send us an email, there's no reason why you shouldn't. cheapsmutpod@gmail.com. Once the show hits the main feed, go to the link tree. The top link is a link to this book. It is not an affiliate link. We do not get any money for this. We're just trying to help the authors out. If you would like to support us financially, you can do so for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, like these fine folks have. Emily Purley, Aaron Manak, Miss Chris, Raven, Natasha Bear, Desiree Rodriguez, Local Mind Flayers Seattle number 42, Bookworm, Kitsune Inc., Cassie, Cassandra, Brian S., April D. Berry, Leah Legend, Dana Goddard, Gemma, Lady Squishy Buns, Tia Esk, Rob Gatika, Angela McNichols, Katie Hurd, Gwendolyn Harper, Seneca O., and Rebecca K. The music that you hear in this and every episode is called Nostalgia by Mackay Beats. You can find it along with thousands of other songs free of charge for you to use, but not you, Himbo Jones, at the Free Music Archive, freemusicarchive.org.
Himbo Jones can't use a computer. Listener, remember, if there is a book in you, write it. And if there's fucking in it, I'll read it.
Then she will come on this show and explain it to me for your entertainment.
Bye-bye.